Every time I hear King speak, I feel a rumble. Every time I hear King speak, my soul stands up. Every time his oceanic voice ripples, that fist-sized organ in my chest quakes a pleasant storm. Even from a TV screen, his projected presence incites a righteous riot in my soul. When I hear King, I want to stand, sit, act all at the same time. I want to sit and listen to King like I listen to my mama and my grandmama when I know they have something precious to say that will still my restless soul. So when we go through those inevitable shadowlands, those steep slopes of alone, or those places where we haven't shaken Little Rock or Selma or Birmingham from our bones, I say, Martin, lend us your quilt called peace. Surround us with the fever and the fervor of your faith. Lend us your hands outstretched like forces of the healing sun. Lend us your spirit legs so we can all run to the mountaintop and cry, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Even in this quiet hour of man-made killing, in this country where God's water is stirred, let the baritone of your voice chant peace. Let the glow of your hope shine peace. Let the baritone of your voice resonate peace, even though the dogs are loose, the hoses aim, the tear gas speed pierced, and the billy clubs are beating at our unshakable dignity. Let us know, though they killed your body, they never touch your soul. And you walk like the king you were, and you echoed like a force of nature, and you resonated like a rolling sea. In these troubled times, wash over us, drench us, robe us in that complicated fabric held together by one simple thread, weaving the belief, trailing, singing, we shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall. Good morning. Oh, come on, you all. I know it's early, and it's early for poetry, but good morning.
Good morning.
I am so honored to be here, and I want to thank Mayor Knox White and Angie Prosser for the invitation to speak to you all today. I also want to acknowledge the woman who can do everything on City Council, Lillian Brock Fleming. Can we just give a round of applause for all of them? I also want to thank Lauren Thomas for that beautiful rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Amen.
Some of you might ask, why is a poet talking to you on Martin Luther King's prayer breakfast day? And I want to say that poetry and King's message goes hand in hand. Matter of fact, the song that Lauren Thomas sang was written by a poet, James Weldon Johnson. And the song that she sang is the Black National Anthem that was created in the early 20th century and was set to music by James Weldon Johnson's brother. So there is a poetic connection there. I also want to make the connection between poetry and King because I was born August 27, 1963. Now, y'all don't do the math. Y'all don't need to be putting me out on blast like that. But I was born the day before King gave his I Have a Dream speech in 1963. I've always considered myself a King baby. The other connection with poetry is that King listened to the I Have a Dream speech? Can I just see by show of hands how many have listened to? Oh, wonderful. I'm in great company. How many have read it? So, great. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is go back and read it. That's your homework. I mean, I got some homework for y'all, so I know y'all didn't think you'd just come and get some breakfast. But what I would like to say is that King took his I Have a Dream speech. He was motivated and inspired by another poet, prevailing black poet of the time. Does anybody have an idea who it was? This is English. Now, I heard somebody say it. Langston Hughes. I hear people like, yes, my English paid off. My English class paid off. And if you remember, Langston Hughes had a lot of poems that had to do with what? Dreams. So King was reading Langston Hughes and got that idea of dreams. So let me just read one of Langston Hughes' poems that really inspired King with his I Have a Dream speech. It's called I Dream a World by Langston Hughes. I dream a world where man, no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, no avarice blights the day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth, and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head, and joy, like a pearl, attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world. That's Langston. And I just want to read a little snippet of King, so you can just make the connection even further. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. Doesn't that sound like a poem? Doesn't that sound like a prayer? And what I believe King is borrowing from Langston is the dream that we individually have and the dreams that we have collectively. I'm not going to stand before you too much longer today, but I do want to share some work that's connected to King, and then also a poem that I would like to extend for you all. I want to share a poem, so I know I'm probably the oldest person in the room. Y'all are supposed to laugh on that. I want to bring up the date, April 4th, 1968. Now, some of you youngins might not know that date. How many, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to give it away, how many know this date, April 4th, 1968? Okay, you my people. Because we probably around the same age. We can hang together. Call me later, okay? But this poem is called Earthquake, April 4th, 1968. And it's those moments when we have historic tragedies, and unfortunately in our life, we've had many national tragedies. But there's those moments, it's like 9/11, where you know exactly where you were. You all know what I'm talking about? It's almost like the world stood still, and you can feel it. So this poem is about the world standing still, April 4th, 1968. We were homeless for a time. It was back when I was a wisp of a child. I was the youngest of 4 and I was 6. We were a family traveling from South Carolina to Washington State. We were moving to our new home, our new place. Days cross country seemed more like years. In child time, everything took forever. We ate in the car, we fought in the car, we sang in the car, we slept in the car, and we sometimes peed on the side of the road. I stared off the lot and watched the landscapes whiz by me. If I were lucky at night, I spy a drive-in movie, stuck out in the night like a TV for the universe. We moved through Memphis on up to Woodland, Kansas, snowbound in April. We had no place to go and the car was so cold. I breathed only frigid air. I did not breathe fear. I felt no danger. My world was buffered and insulated by my parents' nestling arms. My thoughts were of a gentle, generous Santa Claus, and that phrase from the 60s song was my thing. I lived with apple trees and honeybees and snow-white turtle doves. I was a princess in a fairyland, maybe even a queen. My parents were my refuge. I felt harbored under their wings in the storm. No microcosm in the macrocosm for me. Blizzard out there, not in me. We found a police station. I remembered it as a white, warm sanctuary in the night. We found warmth in the station's many homespun quilted blankets. The police sergeant said to my dad, "Sergeant, a young couple has given you their newly remodeled home for the night." It was a white couple, incidentally. It was an unselfish act. One at the age of 5 I could not comprehend. It was strange to me. It was like letting someone wear your new clothes before you even wore them. I felt comfortable in them though. I touched them to make sure they were real and I pretended that they were mine. Everything was new and had order and had a place. And it was plush and warm and the kitchen was stocked with newly bought food. We were a tired lot, a hungry brood. The next morning, I slipped out of my surroundings like newly borrowed clothes with wholehearted regret. My parents sought to make payment through the sergeant in charge. He replied, "It's okay. We take care of our tourists here." 2 days later, in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in a $6 a night motel, we heard the groundbreaking news. In Memphis, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had been killed, shot in the head. My world crumbled and tore half in two, and my envelope of protection and my cherished childhood view fell into a dark crevice of the world underneath, because in this world, I knew I could not be a queen. I was just a 6-year-old black girl, and they had just killed Dr. Martin Luther King. Not an easy poem to read, but I believe necessary. One of the things I believe wholeheartedly that Martin Luther King did not live in vain. He did not die in vain, because the hypothesis that I would like to offer to you all is that we are pieces of his dream. Every single one of us in this room and not in this room, living and those who have passed. We are the extension. I don't care what our divisions that we have, we are one family. And how to figure our way through that family is the way to honor the work that King did. Can I get a witness?
Amen.
Thank you. I want to share 2 more poems and then I'm going to get off this stage. I want to share a poem that's very personal that, you know, my parents, when we were moving from, I was born in Sumter, South Carolina, Shaw Air Force Base, and we were moving to McCord, you know, and that was a long, long trip. And the further we got away from South Carolina, I realized my parents, who were then very, very young, My father was enlisted in the military. And we were not poor, we were po. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about when you take the OR out, right? Some of y'all know po because you grew up like I did with some struggle food. Oh, y'all don't know. Y'all don't hear me this morning though. Some of y'all don't know about eating the ends of a hog. Some don't know that I grew up all the time thinking Spam was ham. My mama put a pineapple and a cherry on it, and we thought, ooh, this is some good ham. The first time I had ham, I had no idea. I'm making fun, but at the same time, my parents knew we were poor. When my father went in the military, that was the richest they had ever been. And we were still below the poverty line. But what were they doing? They were making a way out of nowhere. Some of y'all hear me because you know and you come from that. I want to read a poem that talks about my experience. And as I talk about it, I'm going to ask for you all to think about it. This is your homework now. I told you I was going to give you some more homework. One was to listen to the Kings, read the Kings, I Have a Dream speech. The other homework that I'm going to have you do is think about who are the people in your life who have poured into you. Who are the teachers, the preachers, the people in your community that have poured goodness into you. We just lost Sidney Portier, right? And he was from St. Cass, and he always talked about his grandmother who couldn't read or write. But when she was out there washing clothes by hand, she was pouring goodness into him. And he lived off that goodness his whole life. And we felt that goodness coming from Sidney Portier, didn't we? That was one you will never get again. The mold was broke. This poem, as I read, I want you to think about who got you here. Whose shoulders are you standing on? This poem is called Head Start. If anyone had peered in my 6-year-old eyes, they would have spied the holy worlds beyond their years. And me carry more than I knew. Oh, let me ask, does everybody know what Head Start is? The program? Okay, so for indigent families. Okay. I got a Head Start from Head Start even though I didn't know I needed one. Our family was many paces below the poverty line. Get on your mark, get set, and go. My siblings and me were beneficiaries of free breakfast, hot biscuits, juice, and cereal before school, free lunch, plates of whatever the cafeteria served. My sister one day walked me into aftercare to her middle school gymnasium. And I remember the floor littered with hula hoops, batons. I remember the instructor's swan-like hands teaching interpretive dance with music swirling above. I remember how this moment caught hold of me. I remember how this was the first time no one needed to instruct me of what to do and how to do. I just knew and I moved. I wish someone would have told me in that moment, Glenis, you are an artist. You have felt alone and felt like mismatched socks in your family because you are a highly sensitive girl. Do not fret, because that's your superpower. I remember my 2nd grade music teacher. She had us sing, "Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, get along home, Cindy, Cindy." Every class just for me, not because of my voice, because I sang horribly off key, but because I sang with my whole self, from braided plaits to busted round big toe. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, he'll marry you someday. I felt my music teacher reaching out, affirming me. A sunflower brown button of a girl, what a little light will do. She saw me not only as a beneficiary of free breakfast, a free lunch, but a classroom contributor. I still bask in that glow. Get on your mark, get set, and go. Ironically, I was the fastest sprinter in my elementary school, gifted with fast twitch muscles, and I was flying, but I was flying with more than legs. I was flying with my highly imaginative mind. You only had to look to see. I was more than our rickety, ramshackle 3-story home that our family affectionately called the Rat House. I was more than its notice of condemnation. I was homemade plaid jumpers and rompers made by my mama's know-how hands. I was my daddy's play-by-ear blues, jazz, and gospel piano. I was hit the road jack and the old happy day. I was more than the frown faces drawn on my math test that I hid in the crawl space under the house. I felt like ketchup stain on a white t-shirt in my dyslexia. Which way do sevens go? What is the difference between D's and B's? Why can't I make my hands right? Why can't my brain compute? I was more than my academic paralysis. I was stories that my teachers read out loud. My second grade teacher, blonde, bouffant beehive, Miss Kleinbachter. She read us Ramona the Pest. Fifth grade teacher, red bouffant beehive, Miss Van. She read us The Hobbit out loud. I was not subpar. I was not being squashed by thumb and foot. I was a daydreamer. I was a budding storyteller. I was the poet's pen Miss Sargent at Woodmont High School, do not hate, put in my hand in the 8th grade. I was Mr. Candler's boldness. My 9th grade biology teacher saying, a black girl sat there last semester, she was a straight A student, I believe you will be too. Boom. Get on your mark, get set, and I made honor roll that year. I believe what Mr. Candler told me, and I never looked back. Dust tracks flying out of Highway 25. He wrote my college recommendation. He died before he could see me graduate, the first in my family from college. All these moments jump-started me to become a dancer and a poet, taught me to be a teaching artist and to look into students' eyes. No, it's not the words they say, but what their eyes emanate. So I use my words carefully, only to spark their dream, so they too can get on their marks, run, and rise. I want to close today by saying, again, thank you to all of you, because you're all in service to making this city the place to live, a destination place. For the longest time, I said, I ain't never going back to Greenville. Then my mother got sick. I was living in Asheville. And you know that saying, never say. And when I came back, it was like the most beautiful thing, because Greenville had a lot to teach me about my roots and who I am and how to extend myself more in service. And though I'm a poet, I want to thank all of you who are in service, but I want to especially thank my men in blue. I want to thank my military folks. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. You don't know it to look at me, but I am a retired captain in the Army. People don't always know that. That's something that's out there. Because, you know that saying, you can't judge a book, what? It's true. And that is what I believe unity is about. Because we don't know each other until we talk to one another. And we might think we know somebody, but we actually don't. And I get humbled time and time again, and that's the beauty of being on God's earth, is that humility and finding out what we have in common. So I'm going to close the day with a poem, a very humble poem written for you all, and I want to thank you for listening. It's called Pieces of the Dream. There's no I in y'all. No matter how you try to write it, no matter how much you claim you are an island, y'all means all. A whole unit. And now each and every one of us has had goodness poured into us by somebody, someone who walked along the way, gave you gifts of how to be. Some people gave you gifts of how not to be. Am I right about it? No matter who you are if you are here with breath and love in your lungs, you took heed. You are an extension of the dream. You began to rise from your singular eye to become this wondrous we. Dreams come from the highest realm, a golden thread not to be dismissed as visitation of fog, but held on with fist and heart. Dreams bloom from our deepest selves. Anything we have worth using, seeing, believing, hearing, reading started in a dream. Rough drafts from our imagination. Dreams are kites connected to the heart, beg to be secured firmly by hand and hope, to take to the sky. Listen to the say-so of your heart, to the say-so of your dreams. No matter how small or how huge, keep giving wind to your dreams. We need you. Give no never mind to your fears or naysayers or haters. No matter which way the world turns, stand confidently on shoulders that place you here. Remember all those who filled you with courage. You do not walk this road alone. Your ancestors are applauding you right now. Those that help you stand your tallest, walk firmly on the pathway to build a better world, follow the mile markers, pointing this way to leave the world better than you found it. How do you become mayor? How do you become a civil servant with hard work and never losing the dream in your eye? Assisting the town to be the freshest, so clean and so green. Make this place to reside a sought-after destination. Remember, many hands make light work, and in that lifting with all hands, we are all sewing a seam of this dream, a quilted piece to make us better than we were before, a crafted blanket that does not work without all y'all. And thank you. Before I get, y'all are so, okay, y'all gonna make, you know, I'm a crybaby. I'm a crybaby. Before I get off the stage, I want to do one thing that my mama told me never to do. I want to sing a little bit for y'all. But I ain't singing for y'all to judge me because Lauren is the singer. We already established that, right? But I want to sing because these times we have, you know, many of us are facing so many personal, familial, collective challenges. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here. I've been facing cancer. I'm on chemo. But I don't say that for pity. I say that because I know everybody in here is facing something. And what I want to honestly say, I'm just so happy to be alive. I'm so happy to be grateful. I'm so happy to have love and community. So I want to close by saying this. If y'all will sing, you can use the word love or Lord, it's up to you. But I'm gonna sing a little bit of it. And then a good old call and response, good old Southern style, I want y'all to sing a little bit back to me. Everybody got me? Everybody got me? Yeah. Oh, let me say it like that. Everybody got me? Yeah. I need y'all to get me. See, I've never done the trust fall. I literally have. I don't trust, no, I can't. But this is my trust fall right now. All right? Love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a sanctuary for you. Thank you.